Okay, I think I'll dwell mostly on the election bill because that's the future of Nigerians. And I'm going to dispel a lot of lies because I see people are selectively lying. It has gotten to a point where a lot of people are lying. Lie number one, they tell Nigeria do not have adequate network in all parts of the country to ensure election transmission of results. A big lie. In the last election, INEC recorded about 95% full-on transmission. In fact, that was the presidential because of the case of the technical glitch, which INEC has not been able to tell us why. But also, you had higher percentages, even more than the 95%, in cases around the elections of the State House of Assembly and the House of Assembly election, the parliamentary elections. In 2022 Osun by-election, you had 98 to 100% transmission as at the night of the election. So the first lie a lot of people come to tell you is that, oh, we don't have enough network. It's a lie. Second lie, the people that come to make the argument that we don't have enough network to transfer, they don't even know the size of the sheets where you transfer. The election sheet, the picture of the election sheet you transfer. The electoral sheet is between 700 to 800 kilobytes, not even up to 1 megabyte. And that can easily be transferred. Another lie they tell is, how many countries do electronic real-time transmission? It's another big lie. There are many countries that do it. There's Kenya, that did it successfully in the last election. There is Brazil, which is almost our size in terms of democracy and even have more voters. You have countries like India, which is one of the largest democracy, if not the largest democracy in the world. They have electronic transmission. Countries called the Philippines. So this other argument they make, how many countries? There's another lie they spew. Do America even do electronic transmission real time? The reason why America doesn't do it, because America operates full federalism. Local governments do their election precinct by precinct, you get results from there. But those results are also released to different sources in almost like a real-time manner. That's why you see America can have exit polls. Thirdly, what are the arguments? Because a lot of people don't even understand the arguments. The argument is that we want to make this process justiciable. That's the argument. Currently, it's not justiciable. You can't take the result from IRF, and that's what happened in the Peter Obi case that they filed, because they went to get the result from IRF, thinking they can file it in court. Court then said, no, it's not justiciable. That the best you can do is to use it as corroborative evidence, but it's not the hard evidence. Why are we calling for the mandatory result? We are saying because we want the hard evidence to be taken from IRF to be presented in court to defend your case when you see there's election manipulation. Another lie they tell, oh, in the last election, one of the reasons why Peter Obi didn't do well is that he didn't have enough polling agents. If he had enough polling agents in 176,000 polling units, they will be able to give him all the election sheet to defend his election. It's a lie. There is no political party, I have based on empirical data, that had close to 20,000 or 40,000 result ECHA sheets of all the polling units across the country. Where are you going to get the scale from? I say to them with empirical certainty, if they had it, they should come out in their data room. The people they put on the field, under election conditions, you will get over 176,000 sheets. It's not possible now in a country where you have multiple polling agents, work for multiple political parties, under election condition. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. So that scale is almost impossible. So when they say that, and that's why we are calling for the use of the IRF to be the general scale that everybody can have access to. If you feel disgruntled, you can also go and pick your data from there and be able to prove. That's what we are talking about. So that's why we are saying this matter is pertinent. And the Senate, with due respect, a lot of people that make very daft arguments. This argument of no network was the same argument you made in 2023, guys. I mean, think of something new. You are not challenging us intellectually. I mean, we feel scared that it's this quality of senators that are there that are making the same argument they made in 2023 that is not holding. It's not landing. Think of the more, cerebral. I mean, if you had even talk about the technical role of hackers, or you try to get one or two hackers to try to see if the system is fail-proof and all of that, I mean, you bring the empirical data, we can even look at it. But think of something. This argument of the network country, it's not landing as an argument. So these are the issues this morning. And these are the arguments we are trying to make so that they can make it justiciable, so that you can have scale. Countries that did this successfully, I mean, to a large extent, it reduced the tension in Kenya in the last election. We could all follow the tally as it was going on. It's been used in many off-cycle elections, but this attempt not to pass it and all of these arguments, then it's not going to hold water. The Senate is going to hold an emergency sitting. Please, other senators, please go after them and let us ensure that this is mandatory. These guys should not run away, because this was the exact thing. And you know what happened? Before they could finally pass it, they saw this lacuna. That's why they passed it the last time, because they knew they were going to meander it. Because I know they've been calling their consultants and telling them how we're going to meander the law. That's what they do. They did every time. We know the details. We know the consultants they talk to. So let's be careful. Ayo, please, what's the second story, man?
And the sit-at-home order.
As regards the sit-at-home order, why are we deceiving ourselves? Nnamdi Kalu has always said he didn't support the sit-at-home order. He said it through a message from Aloy Ejimako in 2024. He said it many times in court. That he's got no hand to do with it. That it is always this nefarious element that try to bring down the people with this sit-at-home order. So he said it multiple times. My commiserations to the lives lost in, I think, Kanu, and good one for President Tinubu. First time in 37 years state visit, and on all of that.
We'll talk about that in detail.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in detail. I yield the floor.
Okay, the first subject, in my view, the National Assembly has been on recess for 2 weeks. And now the chairman of the National Assembly has called them back to meet tomorrow. By noon tomorrow, to follow what they call votes and proceedings, which is basically a process for the endorsement of the position of the Senate. So it's just procedural. Before you now have the harmonization conference committee of the entire National Assembly, namely the meeting between the Senate and the House of Reps to harmonize their position. It is also important to note that the Senate President, Chairman of the National Assembly, said over the weekend that the National Assembly will not be intimidated. And he made a point, also corroborated by the Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, that electoral transmission, electronic transmission, has not been removed from the deal. However, what has been done is to remove the idea of real time and to say that, look, electronic transmission will be done at the polling unit level, at the ward level, at the state level, at the national level, but not real time. Okay, the argument that in 2023 that there could be a problem with transmission infrastructure, electricity, and all that. Well, there is a research that has been done by the opposition parties that in fact show that 93% transmission to IREV in 2023 worked. It only did not work during the presidential election. We still treated this subject yesterday with one of the stakeholders on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show. And that why are they now saying that it will not work this time around? People live in rural areas. They do electronic transfer. You transfer money to them. It works. Yeah. So why will transfer real time of election results not work? However, the position of the Senate is that, look, there could be issues, post-election issues, creating a lot of litigation, a lot of doubts, particularly about remote communities. In fact, the chairman of the National Assembly was very specific. He said in 9 states of the Federation, there could be issues, and that would lead to chaos after the election. So now that they are coming back tomorrow from recess, They are trying to show the urgency of the matter. Secondly, I make the point that it's just procedural. So those who expect any major reversal may be disappointed. But a counterpoint to that is that civil society leaders, from Femi Falana to Professor Patu Tomi to former Minister Obi Ezekwesili, to Wale Okuneyi, Comrade Shehu Sani, and others, have said, no, this cannot work. Civil society groups are saying, what we want is real-time transmission of results, including the NBA, including the Nigerian Labour Congress. In fact, the Nigerian Labour Congress, led by Joe Ajero, is threatening that there will be protests before, during, and after the election. So the only thing we can say is that the National Assembly should not just say nobody can intimidate us. It is important to listen to these people, because the basic thing that Nigerians are asking for is free, fair, and credible elections. They just had an election in Japan, a snap election called by Senator Takaichi, the first female prime minister of Japan. The election was yesterday. By end of yesterday, we already knew who the winner was. Takaichi winning with 65%. Our party, the Liberal Democratic Party, taking 68%. The best result, that the Liberal Democratic Party or any other party in that country has recorded. In Thailand, they also had the election. These February elections that Adefemi Akintoye reminded us of. And we already know how that three-way process in Thailand is going. It's not rocket science. Nigeria can do it. So, and Nigerians have the right to say, for transparency, for, credibility, if we need to upgrade infrastructure, there's still enough time, we should upgrade it. That is the position of the people. So those are the two sides of the argument. You can balance them out depending on your political orientation. Now, as for Anambra, yes, IPOB yesterday issued a statement and said, well, our position has always been there should be no sit at home. That message that they have been putting out there, as they say, was never ever driven home until we had the courage of the sitting governor, that's Professor Chukwuma Soludo, who summoned the courage to say this has to stop for economic reasons. He, being a professor of economics, does not see the sense why Anambra State alone will be losing over 8 billion naira every Monday, and the whole of the Southeast will be losing a total of 19 billion naira every Monday. And then he summoned the courage and said, look, I will shut down Onitsha Main Market. And he did, for a week. And that if Onitsha Main Market traders still continue to stay at home, listening to vagabonds, well, that's not the appropriate word, but listening to, people who are trying to sabotage the state, saboteurs will be a more appropriate adjective, that he will in fact shut down that entire market and rebuild it, and in fact revoke the allocation of the market stores. Last Monday, everybody showed up in the market. Everybody. People, civil servants went to work and all of that. So, and I made a point when that happened last Monday, I think, that it takes leadership. So what is the catalyst here is the courage, the leadership, the wisdom of the governor. And this morning, I read a piece, Anambra is ready for business, I think by Christian Aburime, the chief press secretary to the governor, saying that everybody should go out. And this morning, go and check. People are on the streets. So leadership also requires courage. And so while IPOB has reiterated its position, I think the major credit should go to Governor Chukwuma Soludo, who forced the issue and said, if you don't go to that market, there will be an issue. Last Monday, I reported that I saw stories saying he went to the market.
Yeah, he did.
To shop, to buy things, yeah, and all of that. So I think it's a liberation moment for not just the people of Anambra State, in the Anambra as they are called, and also the whole of the Southeast. The Agune Chamber, there's a group called Agune Chamber, which the governor deployed to provide security for the traders. And having seen that they will also be protected and secured, of course, they came out. Now, quickly, Now, I think the president and his wife receiving this international recognition is very good. And that's why we have been remarking it. Senator Remi Tinubu, Mrs. Tinubu, First Lady of Nigeria, was invited to the 74th National Breakfast Meeting in the United States, where she was specially recognized by President Donald Trump, who by reputation is very stingy with compliments. And then, of course, he said there that Mrs. Tinubu is a very well-respected woman and a church leader in Nigeria. Okay, some mischievous persons have been saying, oh, he was saying that because Mrs. Tinubu is beautiful and classy. No, the serious part of it is that in itself, even if it is symbolic, had a very good effect, and it was a good moment for the administration in terms of soft power diplomacy. Now, President Tinubu is being invited to meet with the king, I think March 18, March 19. It's also a triumph of diplomacy, no matter how that was arrived at. In 37 years, the last person that visited the United Kingdom on a state visit was President Ibrahim Babangida. Before him, I think Shagari, and then Gawan, General Gawan. And now, this time around, it's the Tinubus being invited, on this diplomatic mission. I think, nobody can quarrel with that. Although, I imagine that very soon the opposition parties will come and say, President Tinubu should not go to the United Kingdom. He should stay at home. There has been just one accident in Kano. He should go there and move the corpses and physically repair the roads himself. These are two different categories. Why providing strong domestic policy traction is important. Foreign diplomacy is also important. We have seen economic diplomacy from President Tinubu. We have seen soft power diplomacy from him also. And then we have also seen him, trying to take charge as a chief foreign policy officer of the country. I think while there's a linkage between domestic policy and foreign policy, sometimes we tend to confuse both. We get lost in the translation and in understanding. As for Biafra, I think we discussed that last Friday, didn't we? Okay.
That's the
okay, with the sit-at-home. Okay. Now, Kano, the accident.
The accident.
FRSC Kano is saying that this is as a result of overspeeding.
That's right.
Now, it's not enough for FRSC Kano to say overspeeding. I thought that at the time, they said they were going to put speed limits, gauge on the roads. What has happened to that? And the people who are overspeeding, do we have the technology? Do we have the infrastructure to check them? If you drive on the streets of the United States, in Washington, D.C., or the state of Maryland, they will tell you 30, whatever per hour. If you violate it, you will get a ticket. Absolutely. If you get to where a school is, they will tell you, do 20 kilometers per hour. Americans respect all those injunctions. Now, we don't respect anything here, even when we say, speed limits exist, because there's a reign of impunity in government and outside government. So I think the big issue is, how do you check this excessive speeding? That was how some athletes went to Ogun State National Sports Festival, and they got to Kano and they had an accident and they perished. The same excuse that FRC gave was overspeeding. In the Anthony Joshua case, we also had excessive speeding, they called it. Why do we have a body like FRC if they cannot address this issue?